If you keep your eyes wide open on your journey through life, you never know what you might find around the next corner. And if strange finds aren't around the next corner, they might be in the next bag you look in, or the next rock you check underneath. Life has a way of rewarding our curiosity, as we can prove with this amazing video. Could there be any clearer sign of the universe rewarding the deserving than the miraculous appearance of a refrigerator full of beer in front of two brave heroes who were helping to clear up flood damage in Nebraska? Galen Stouffer and Kyle Simpson had spent the day up to their chests in water, helping their neighbors and trying to restore order when the fridge floated along the water and came to a rest right in front of them. They opened it up and found that it was completely stocked with Bud Light and Busch, all of which was ice cold. They enjoyed a couple of beers and then used Facebook to locate its owners. As it turned out, the fridge had traveled 4 miles from its home and had previously survived a house fire. That's a sturdy piece of kit. If a priceless item from the Apollo 11 mission turned up at auction close to you, you'd probably be tempted to bid on it. Nancy Lee Carson was happy to pay $995 for a bag marked Lunar Samples, which once belonged to Neil Armstrong. But when she got her new purchase home, she opened it up and realized that the bag still contained moon dust. NASA had made a huge mistake in selling it, and went through the courts to try and get it back from her. A judge ruled in Nancy's favor, finding that although a mistake had been made, the sale had been completed lawfully, and NASA would have to deal with it. A delighted Nancy then placed the bag back up for auction, along with the lunar contents. This time, it sold for $1.8 million. When you're cycling through Krasnoyarsk in Siberia, the last thing you expect to see is the hulk of an old English steam engine. But that's the sight that was waiting for Vladimir Chernikov in October last year. Chernikov had heard stories of a mysterious engine out in the wastelands, but was expecting to find something more like an old Soviet train or a tank. Instead, his discovery is one of the few physical relics of the Yenisei gold rush of the mid-19th century. British company Richard Garrett & Sons, founded in 1778, sent the train to assist at the short-lived gold mines in the region. It must have been abandoned there when there was no gold left to dig. Having taken ownership of the artifact, Vladimir now hopes he can find a permanent station for it in a museum. There was a great upset in the country of Sweden when the nation's precious crown jewels were stolen in mid-2018. Fortunately, the bulk of them have now been found again in a deeply inappropriate location. They were in a trash can in Åkersberg, close to Stockholm. The jewels, including King Carl IX's funeral regalia and crown, Queen Christina's crown, and a royal orb, had an estimated value of almost $8 million. They were stolen in a daring robbery in front of a packed congregation at a cathedral by thieves who escaped on a powerboat. But the stolen goods must have been too hot to handle, resulting in them being dumped in such an inauspicious manner. They are now back with their rightful owners, and hopefully much more closely guarded. Swampland is always good at keeping secrets and preserving possessions. The swamps of Leningrad keep more secrets than most. They were the site of many battles during 1941 to 1945. Some ammunition ended up frozen in time at the bottom of those Leningrad swamps, like this box of unused 50mm mines. They've survived in the cold and the wet for more than 77 years, but look like they were only submerged last week. Fisherman Stephen Jones is used to seeing driftwood when he's out working off the coast of South Australia, and he nearly wrote this discovery off as just another hunk of wood as he passed it on the beach. But something made him look twice. When he did, he realized it had eyes and fins. This was no piece of driftwood. This was a strange-looking and rarely seen fish known as mola mola, or more commonly nicknamed the sunfish. Measuring 6.5 feet long, the fish is extremely heavy, and Jones described the skin as thick and leathery, like a rhinoceros. The fish don't attack humans, but can sometimes scare swimmers because they are mistaken for sharks. They're also a hazard to boats. Their bodies are so thick that a rudder can fracture on contact with them. Jones allowed his catch of the day to be washed back out into the water. Winston Churchill is one of the best-known and most admired political leaders of the 20th century, so you'd like to believe his personal effects would be well cared for if anyone was lucky enough to have any. Apparently, they're not. A refuse tip worker couldn't believe his eyes when he spotted a signed picture of Churchill disposed of at the tip, along with the former British Prime Minister's top hat, a box of cigars, and a collection of private correspondence. It's unknown who dumped them there or why anyone would want to throw such things away, but they've greatly benefited David Rose, the worker who found them. He took them onto the Antiques Roadshow, which is a British TV show all about valuable antiques, where an expert valued his lucky haul as being worth around $13,000. Staying in Britain for a moment, 37-year-old Anne Clamp was a little surprised when she found out she'd been gifted an old wooden desk in the will of a cousin she'd never met. The will had been written when she was just 13 years old and never amended. Anne gratefully received the gift and took it to an antique expert to have it valued. The desk itself was nice, but not of any great value. It was worth $100 at most. Hiding in a secret drawer inside the desk, though, was a mint-condition 650-year-old coin made of 22-karat gold. The French coin dated back to the 14th century and would never have been noticed at all if it weren't for the kindly and honest antique expert, who could have kept it for himself but instead informed Anne of the discovery. Its value is somewhere in the region of $5,000. If it was possible to live forever, would you want to? If so, you might be able to give it a try if you're brave enough to drink this liquid. This off-yellow liquid, found inside a 2,000-year-old Chinese bronze pot, is believed to have been considered the elixir of life by the Chinese people of the time. It was found within the tomb of an unknown ancient Chinese aristocratic family by archaeologists working in the Henan province last October. Scientists initially believed the liquid was wine because it gave off a strong alcoholic odor, but lab tests revealed it's actually made up of alunite and potassium nitrate. We know that these ingredients were used in Chinese elixir of life potions because of old Taoist texts discovered years ago. Potassium nitrate isn't usually good for you, with side effects including blindness and kidney failure, so we don't think it was likely to make people immortal. It's likely it was used as part of a burial ritual rather than being consumed. You can judge the character of a person by what they do when nobody's watching, and how they behave when there's no witness or reward. In the case of homeless man Kevin Booth of Washington, there was a reward on offer, specifically $17,000 that had been left on a doorstep outside the food bank he relied on for meals. Kevin was the first person to come across the money and could have taken it for himself. He was hungry and homeless, without a penny to his name. Instead, he safeguarded it, waited for the food bank to open, and handed it over to a volunteer. The shocked staff were unable to trace whoever had made the anonymous donation, and even called the police to confirm they'd be allowed to keep it. The police said yes, and the money has been put to good use enhancing the services that the food bank offers. Booth was honored by the city of Washington, but won't accept any financial reward for his honesty. He just considers himself to be a good citizen, and felt that taking the money would be the same as robbing the food bank. The idea behind top-secret documents that they're supposed to remain exactly that, secret. Apparently, someone within Russia's Ministry of Internal Affairs didn't get the memo about that, and decided the safest way to dispose of their top-secret documents was to throw them out like regular trash in the city of Asbest, Sverdlovsk. A local resident named Mitya Gilyazov found them and wasted no time in uploading images of the documents to the internet. Some of the paperwork was years old, but quite a lot of it was much more recent. It contained names and contact numbers for many government employees, plus sensitive details of past and current criminal investigations. We believe the documents ended up back in the hands of the authorities, and we suspect somebody lost their job because of the mistake. Here's some advice you won't hear very often. Always know your vomit. If you're walking along the beach and see what looks like a soft yellow rock, pick it up and take it home. It could be your ticket to a fortune, because it's likely to be whale vomit. It may not sound appetizing, but perfume makers pay huge money for the substance, which is known as ambergris. Thai barman Bunyos Tala Upara came across an ambergris deposit while out walking on the beach in June 2018 and took it home because he thought it would make an interesting garden decoration. It wasn't until a friend pointed out its true nature that he realized he might be sitting on immense riches. Such is the size of his piece of ambergris that it's expected to sell for $500,000. It's rare that a border security officer will be surprised by anything. They're used to people trying to cross the border in a variety of disguises and using a variety of methods. Agent Robert Rodriguez is an experienced official and thought he'd seen it all, but he was truly shocked when he opened an abandoned duffel bag and found a live tiger cub inside. It's thought that somebody was trying to smuggle the tiger into America from Mexico for private sale, but saw border security approaching and ran away, leaving the bag behind. Fortunately, the little cub was unharmed and is now adjusting to its new life in Brownsville's Gladys Porter Zoo. During the late 1980s and 1990s, it became a popular idea to bury time capsules under buildings, in the hope that people in the distant future would one day discover them and be able to find out what life on Earth was like during our era. It's a great idea, but if you do it, you should probably choose a shape for your time capsule that doesn't look like a bomb. The owner of the famous former New York nightclub, the Danceteria, had the capsule, which contains photos and letters to the future, buried when the club closed in 1986. For reasons best known to himself, he had the capsule designed to look like a bomb. Construction workers digging up roads near the site of the old club panicked when they found it and had to call in bomb disposal experts to ensure there was no threat. John Argento, the Danceteria's final manager, says the capsule wasn't supposed to be dug up for 10,000 years. All Dmitry Artyom wanted to do was stock up on coal for the winter, and now he's been dragged into a mystery about a 300 million-year-old piece of gear machinery. Artyom ordered his coal and was pouring it into a coal cart when he noticed a strange metal shape jutting out of one of the pieces of coal. He thought an object had been embedded in the coal, but on closer inspection discovered it was actually a solid part of the rock. Having chipped away at it and extracted it, he couldn't believe what he was looking at: a carved piece of aluminum, which looked like part of a gear mechanism. Analysis has suggested that the aluminum is over 300 million years old, but how can that be? That was before even the dinosaurs. Did an ancient civilization live on our planet all that time ago? And if so, is this all that's left of them? Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, and you will be the first to know when a new video comes out. Thank you for watching, and see you soon.